I'm talking about racism, sexism, nationalism, heterosexism, ethnocentrism of any type. And we look at these types of isms, not just one at a time, but together. And this is called intersectionality. It's a big word for saying something like this. If you're looking at a bird in a cage, and you're looking very closely to that bird, and you see that there is one wire there, and you can see the bird, and you ask yourself, there's only one wire. Why can't the bird just fly around that wire? But if you step back and you start to see that there are many wires around that cage, you understand why the bird is still in the cage. So, but that's not the end of the story, because even though that bird is in a cage, that cage bird is singing. And we want to magnify that song. We want to join that song of liberation, that song of power. In order to do that, though, we have to think to ourselves, what type of power do I carry as a person, as part of a group? Power that was given to me that I did not earn. And so in CPT, we work with that when we talk about the concept of privilege. And the way that some societies, particularly United States society, Canadian society, European societies, have been set up to privilege a certain group of people over others. It would have been one thing if those practices would have just been contained in that society. But through the process of colonization and the global power dynamics today, those types and structures of oppression are projected all over the world. And so wherever we go, as U.S. Americans, as Canadians, as Europeans, and others, we are not escaping those systems. And so we're carrying with us certain types of privilege. We're carrying with us certain baggage that we can't just shake off. No, we have to analyze it. We have to be very careful about the ways that it is carrying us. That we are not even necessarily in control of the reactions that we have and others have to our power and the ways, particularly that white power has interacted with other societies. And this just isn't about white power or white men or white straight men or white straight Christian men. It's about all of us and the ways, again, that we are pressed into small spaces and not able to bring our full selves to the work because of the structures of oppression, these barriers to authentic relationships, because of the real pain and violence that has been wrought on many communities as a result of pursuing a level of comfort and a level of privilege and a level of autonomy for a white supremacist capitalist structure. So that structural violence, looking at that is a really important part of Christian Peacemaker Team's work. I'm not saying we're perfect at it, but we are committed. Anyone, at any time, in any meeting, can say, stop. I feel that there's a dynamic oppression happening here. Even if they can't name it, we ask that CPTers have that courage, just like they have the courage to go and be willing to get in the way of overt violence, to have the courage to name oppression wherever it is showing up. And so in CPT, no questions are off the table. And the commitment is that we're going to keep talking about this. And that's part of nonviolence. The willingness to say that there is nothing I can't learn something from. There is no one I can't learn something from. And that no matter what, although I can be very passionate about something, I will not eliminate my conversation partner. And this is critical because what has happened with structural violence is the elimination of people and the elimination of voices. And so, again, building partnerships to transform violence and oppression puts it front and center, that we have to pay attention to the very nuanced and the very simple ways that barriers to authentic relationships have been deeply affected by oppression. And so our process is called Undoing Oppression. Many people participate in anti-racism work or anti-oppression work, and that's really important. But the word undoing, I believe, really ministers to me as someone who feels that it's not just no, what I'm against, But it is recognizing that this is a big tangle. And it's much more complicated than just saying, I am not oppressive or I refuse to be oppressed. It's recognizing that this stuff goes deep into my heart. It has affected the way I see myself and the way I see others. And so the process of undoing oppression, for me, feels a lot like my spiritual journey. It's a step-by-step walk, sometimes crawling, sometimes sitting, sometimes crying with tears of joy or tears of sorrow, and a recognition that this process of sanctification, of becoming holy, of becoming whole, is all connected. And so every day my prayer as I work with CPT is that God would remove all of the things that bind me, except for that tie that binds me to my fellow human beings and to all of the earth. And so it's that type of unbinding or undoing that we're working on, and recognizing it's a very spiraling path. It's not a linear thing where you go to a workshop and then all of a sudden you are absolved of your racism. No, it's a process by which we begin to notice, we begin to name, we begin to sense more and more the pain that is inside of us and that others carry as a result of being pressed.